Um, Liverpool, JJ,
Yeah,
Tom. I got a JJ first. I spoke to Tom on Saturday. You beat United 7-0. We didn't
yeah.
actually hear from you after that, to be fair, which was nice because everyone else came on. But
I
no,
knew it was coming. I knew it was coming,
yeah,
Terrace.
no win since, and just lots of diabetes after all that 7-up. But bro, I mean, it was awful in the end. Started well, but awful in the end against City.
Yeah, it was garbage, man. It was garbage. Even 1-0 up, I didn't even celebrate the goal. It's like I knew what was coming. You could see the patterns of play that City were producing. You just knew that once they break the door down, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. I predicted 3-1. I got beaten. It was 4-1. I don't even know what to say anymore. We just do the same thing. Like we started off in that first half, in the first 10 minutes, it looked like a 4-2-3-1. It looked like Salah was up front. You had Elliot on the right, and I was like, oh wow, Klopp's tried to do something else. Lo and behold, they scored, and then we went back to a 4-3-3. Salah was out wide, non-existent after the goal. Um, Gakpo just running around. It's just more of the same, really. If you've watched Liverpool, you just know it's all reliant on energy. No real class in the midfield. Hoof ball, trying to be direct. The press isn't working. The defense is all over the place. I don't even know what to say anymore. I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, Tom's reading my mind already, but I'm going to wait for him to kind of speak on that. But yeah, it's just a mess. And I mean, the season's done. I've checked out. Nothing's going to really change. Any fans expecting a couple signings or a certain name to go and solve the issue is wrongly mistaken. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, I guess the summer's going to be more important than this season actually. So we'll have to just wait and see, man. We'll have to wait and see.
We've got Chelsea tomorrow, and I genuinely could not tell you the midfield I want to see play. We have 7 midfielders fit, and I want none of them on the pitch. That's how bad our midfield is. I want none of them on the pitch. Like you were saying, and I think the manager has to be called into question. He has to be. I don't care how much people say, the manager has to be called into question. He actually made a smart tactical change before the game. He tried to match their box thing that they do, where they have 2 midfielders sitting and then 2 going. We tried to match that, and it worked for the first 20. And then we concede, not because of a mistake from the box, but because another tactical error that he made. So then he just panics and reverts to type, which then just got us murdered. His subs have been awful all season. If the sub isn't going to make us better, don't make the sub. Just don't make the sub. His tactics have been shocking. The players look checked out. And when we're going into the phase that we need to go into now, everything that he stands for as a manager is everything that we need to move on from in terms of sentimentality, in terms of loyalty. We've been too loyal. I can't believe that we're still giving James Milner game time. I can't believe that we gave Oxlade-Chamberlain game time at the Etihad. That's the situation we're in. But yet, no, we praise it and we reward it. It's not on. Football doesn't wait for anyone. If we sit there and give Milner a new contract, if we sit there and give Henderson a new contract and keep playing them, do you think Chelsea are just going to sit there and stagnate for a full year and let us stay at that level? Do you think Tottenham are going to stagnate? Do you think Arsenal are going to stagnate? Do you think United are going to stagnate? Do you think even Newcastle and City are going to stagnate? No, they're all going to continue to improve, and we will be left behind unless we adapt with the times. That's what people have to get through their head. Jurgen Klopp's fantastic for everything he's done, but right now, everything has went wrong, and he can't do a full reset. He can't, because it's not in his nature.
Like Tom, he's come out like in the press conference, like I think before the Chelsea game today, saying, "Look, like I'm only here because of what I've done in the past." And it's mad because in any other top club, if this was Barcelona, if this was Chelsea, if this was Bayern Munich, if this is Juventus, if he was a manager of GlaxoSmithKline or Goldman Sachs, if he was doing it, doesn't matter what you've done previously. It just doesn't matter. It's what you're doing now. Like no one looks at what Oxlade-Chamberlain did back when he was at Arsenal. No one looks at that. Yet we're the only club that seem to look at that and you're rewarded for what you've done in the past in a business that's a results based. But it don't make any sense. It doesn't.
You're not the
make any
only
sense.
club. You're not the only club. A lot of people hold on to players or managers who've done well for them, even though they're a little bit past their thing. I've seen it at Arsenal. I've seen it at other clubs. But what this
Yeah,
thing is,
and Gal, sorry
he
to
needs
interrupt.
to move
Where's that
on.
left Arsenal?
I
Where
know.
did that leave Arsenal?
I agree with you. I know. That was my second point. My second point is, I think you guys should maybe either give him a push to understand that it's time to let somebody else steer the ship, or if he's not going to get the full support that he needs around him like he was at the beginning of his tenure at Liverpool, he might need to view his career and say, you know what, let me leave on a high. Tell the fans that I'm leaving at the end of this season and have a great hurrah for the end of the season, and maybe put a positive note on the end of the season rather than the season end bad, him be the big villain and your players be a villain, and it just goes to shit.
I agree, but it's weird because you look at the whole Liverpool situation, right? And it's him leaving on a high. What is a high now? What is a high?
There is no high from this season.
Saying-
There's no high from this season.
There isn't, but our one shining light that we had this season, the emergence of Bajcetic, a midfielder, that actually came because we out of necessity. We didn't have anyone else to put in there at the time. We didn't sign a midfielder. We signed a forward instead. He's now injured. He's not going to play any of the other youngsters we've got. We signed Cavallo. Where's he gone? He's back in Klopp's basement. Ben Doak, where's he gone? I don't care how young he is now. You just play the youngsters and see what they can provide. Arsenal done it. Arsenal done it in an extremely good way when you look at it. Given the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe in a season where it was terrible, Emil Smith-Rowe, Saka started. Playing more minutes. He wasn't just coming off the bench sometimes. And then look at the players that they've become. We need to do something with this season, and I just don't get it. It's like we're.
Do you think
if
Do you think if Klopp announced that he's leaving at the end of the season, it would give your fans like, you know what, he's leaving. Let's let him leave and let's support him for the rest of the season.
The majority of the fans are still on his side. It's not the fact. The question would be, would the players rally behind him? I think it's too far gone. It's not like we're sitting there going, there's 13 games left, there's 14 games left. We're getting into the territory where there's single figure games left. And Newcastle are more consistent than us. Brighton are more consistent than us. United are more consistent than us. And Tottenham are more consistent than us. We are the most inconsistent team that are in that top four race. And I think it'd be worse, Gal, if Klopp said I was going to leave and then they did band together and get top four, because then you'd be questioning their integrity and why it's taken him having to leave to do it, and things we pointed elsewhere. I don't know what the club plans for the future for next year, but if they believe that Jude Bellingham alone is the answer, we're not going anywhere. We're still from mediocrity for years.
Do you know what I want to add to this as well? Like, you guys got battered at the weekend, and I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans online today, a lot of journalists really try and push United only 3 points better than Ralph Ragnick's team last year. That's a disgrace by Man United. Your greatest team in Premier League era, and a team that was a handful of minutes away from winning a quad, is 5 points behind where Ralph Ragnick's team was last year. To put that into perspective, if my manager is being dragged over the coals for improving on that and winning a trophy, to go from where you were as quad challengers to 5 points behind the worst Man United team in 45 years, and I'm only using Liverpool fans' logics here of points totals, not just performances. Performances, by the way, have been equally as bad as under Ralph and Ollie last year at Liverpool. Been absolutely shocking, some of the teams you've lost to. Your squad isn't an 8th place squad. Your squad isn't... Listen, getting beat by City isn't embarrassing per se, but Bournemouth, drawing to Palace, all these games here. You've had 2 games this year, by the way, that have helped Klopp. The thrashing of Bournemouth 9-0 and then the Man United win. If Man United had have come to you and beaten you badly, the mood now towards Klopp would be very different. It almost... Listen, him beating... Look, you guys will love that result forever, and a lot of Liverpool fans won't want to take it away. But maybe a little bit like Wenger winning that FA Cup when he was almost sacked, and then it prolonged his sacking for a couple of years. maybe, just maybe, in hindsight, it wasn't the best thing to happen to you. I'm not saying you'll want to get rid of it. You'll love that day forever. But he's hanging on by a thread because it is tactical decisions. The high line gets exposed in every game all season. And the fact that your manager hasn't addressed it, it's why the criticism towards Ten Hag makes me giggle. He's playing a more pragmatic style than he wants to play. Than he's been bred to play. That's ingrained in him. But he's doing it because he knows if he plays Ajax style football with this squad, we'll be sitting 8th, 9th in the league. We'll get pammed. He knows he has to adapt. And Jurgen Klopp is a great manager. Jurgen Klopp is a sensational manager. I really rate him. But his weakness is his arrogance and his inability to change, to adapt. And say, do you know what? My players aren't at it anymore. I've got to sit my team 5 yards, 10 yards deeper and play on the counter attack. I've got to do something different to stop leaking these goals. And he just goes, yeah, and just does the same thing over and over again. And I feel sorry for you guys. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But Terry, you just made
Terry, what did he say again?
Yeah.
But Terry, look, you made a point there saying that, look, and I agree. Look, Klopp's a great manager. He probably goes somewhere else and does really, really well, right? The best managers, though, and the best are ones that can adapt. When you look at it, Liverpool have had to have everything aligned. The stars have had to align. It's had to be destiny for Liverpool to win the league. We had to have no injuries in our squad. We had to get every signing that we made had to pop. So signing Wijnaldum from a relegated team, buying the likes of a Mane that no one really was in for, buying a Salah when no one was really in for it. It wasn't like the top dog. It wasn't like we were going and getting Mbappe to come into our team or like a Casemiro like United did. We had to make sure that our scouting, our recruitment policy was perfect. Our injuries were perfect. Our players had to be perfect. We had to be nigh on perfect to win the league. But that just doesn't make any sense. Look at the season United won the league when the season before Ferguson left. That team on paper shouldn't have won the league. When you look at it on paper, I could argue that player for player, Liverpool are probably better than them. And as you said, you're looking at it, and this team, look, if Liverpool had a drop-off and we're 5th, 1 point off top 4 consistently through the season, even, 5th is even a joke. Let's say they were 3rd, 4th in the position where Tottenham are. That's a mad drop-off for a team that was almost on a near quad. But it's that's understandable. It's respectable. To be where we are in 8th and 9th, those are all tactical decisions. And he's proven to me that it's a plan A or there's no way. And for me, that just doesn't make any sense.
He's compromised his philosophies. I've always said with a manager, you live and you die by your philosophies. That's what you do. And Jurgen Klopp had 3 main philosophies when he came into this club: high intensity, high pressure, quick attacks. What's happened is he's tried high intensity. High intensity is tried, but he's compromised the high press because the numbers on that are horrific. The numbers back that up. We don't high press anymore. And the quick attacks, they're just gone. And when you look at our best results this season, the win at United, the win at Bournemouth, the win at Tottenham, the win at Newcastle, the win at Everton, all those were when all 3 philosophies clicked into gear and worked. They didn't work all game, but they worked for a 20, 30-minute spell. What he's done is almost he's seen the success that City have had and all these other top teams that are growing have had. And he's went, why don't we try that? Why don't we try and be more possession focused? The difference is you can be possession focused when you have a midfield 3 of Rodri, Bernardo Silva and KDB, rather than a midfield 3 of Milner, Henderson and Fabinho.
But Tom, it's mad. I don't even believe that. You could give him all those tools in the world. What did he do with Thiago? What did Thiago learn, Tom?
He sat Thiago down. He sat Thiago down and went, look, you're one of the best deep line playmakers of a generation. Here's Danny Drinkhorse's 15-16 highlights. See what he done? The running round, the tackling. That's what I need you to do. That's what you should do.
It's not like that. You look at the types of players we've got. They should be able to go and play a different style. The problem is, you look at the patterns of play that City were playing and compare that to Liverpool. It was a joke. It was actually a joke.
No, mate, it's true, and the regression is massive. And But I said this, and then you beat Newcastle. You beat somebody else before you played Newcastle as well, didn't you? You beat someone else. You played Everton, and then you drew at Palace, and then you beat Newcastle on us. Terry, you said Klopp's got to go. As I've said, I think he's a brilliant, brilliant manager. I agree with you, JJ. His inability to adapt is why he may not become a legend. He's won back-to-back league titles in Germany, and he's won a Champions League. So he goes into the great category. But within that great category, he doesn't talk to the Peps and the Fergies and the Jose Mourinhos, just of this kind of era. He doesn't talk to them because he just hasn't been able to sustain it. He isn't able to win when the conditions aren't perfect. When you get some injuries, you lose, what was it, 4 or 5 home games on the bounce at Anfield because you had some bad injuries, but that's no excuse to lose that amount of games. He's almost, I don't know if any of you ride motorbikes. I don't, but I've got friends that do. There's certain motorcyclists that they call fair weather riders. Only when it's warm and sunny that they go out on their bikes. If there's a bit of rain, a bit of wind, a bit of sleet, they don't go out on the bikes. They're too scared to. Jurgen Klopp, when the conditions are perfect, is a sensational manager. But when the going gets tough, him and his teams, they fold. They generally speaking fold. And you can lose games and you can have moments, but it's too often. And I think some of these players now aren't playing for him. And you mentioned Thiago. This guy should be playing the Scholes role. What Scholes did from 32 to 38 was sit back deep, dictate play, and he had energy around him. You should have a new Genie and a new Jordan Henderson, either side of him. Good technicians, but lots of energy running around, breaking up the play, covering the positions. And he should be given that ball and he should be feeding it in. So breaking the lines with his passing. But instead, he's being used, as you say, as Lee Cattermole. It's crazy to have a player with that ability and you're using him as Lee Cattermole. It's honestly crazy. It really, really is. I want to go to some super chats here. The first one says, Klopp won every trophy quickest in the Prem. I'll let JJ answer that one.
Okay. So what about next season then? What about the season after? Put it this way. If Klopp was to leave today, if Klopp was to leave in whenever, and Liverpool don't win anything else, the season, bar the Premier League, is on par with, well, I mean, the what he's won is on par with what Rafa Benitez won. And Rafa Benitez ain't considered no legend of the game. He won everything apart from the league.
That is a big apart
Leicester won the league. When you go and look at history, the way it's going to look, it's just going to be like one Premier League, one this, one that. Anyway, move on. That just looks like a blip. It doesn't. There's no sustained success. So what does that mean? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
You can't just. I mean, but based on that logic, does that mean Tom, you keep him forever because he won all the trophies quicker than anybody else did?
No, what does the past have to do with now? If the past was relevant, I'd be getting Stevie G to sign a new contract at the ripe old age of 46 to come do a job in our midfield. You have to move on. Jurgen Klopp right now, I'm not dealing with the Jurgen Klopp of 3 years ago that was winning league titles. I'm dealing with the Jurgen Klopp now that can't outmanage Gary O'Neill on a 12:30 kickoff away at Bournemouth. That's the manager I'm dealing with now. And you want me to keep that manager? You want me? You want my club, which I know doesn't spend the money of an Arsenal or a City or a Chelsea, who've spent hundreds of millions year in year on. I know my club doesn't like to do that. So we can't afford to rest and allow them to jump us because it's very unlikely we then re-jump them. So you want me to settle for this mediocrity? Why? That's exactly why we ended up getting Klopp in the first place. Because the previous manager had got us in that exact same situation. Are we going to go through that cycle again and again and again? Because I'm sick of it. We need to break out of it.
1 second. Similar to the Graham Potter situation, do you guys feel like if Klopp leaves, everything just miraculously gets better?
No.
Or do you just want a new direction?
I can't answer that. As in, like, I can't tell you whether it's going to just miraculously get better. Like, it could potentially even get worse. Let me just be honest with you. But there needs to be some ambition from the club to suggest that this isn't good enough and that we can go and move forward. It's like with anything. When United got rid of Beckham, when they got rid of Ronaldo, they could have looked at him and be like, what are we going to do next? The best player in the world's gone. What are we going to do? It's like, no, we can still be successful past that. So there has to be an inner belief from the club to say that, look, we're bigger than Klopp. Because right now, it's just becoming Klopp FC now. If Klopp leaves, then that's it. Liverpool are done. That's it. We can't do anything else. Klopp leaves and Liverpool are relegated. We're in the slums. I don't want to believe that, because it means that everything that Liverpool built could just vanish like that because of a manager. I don't believe that.
But fans are backing the manager over the club. They're backing the manager. Listen, you can love Jurgen Klopp, but be like, I think it's time for him to move on. But there are polarized fans online that are overly negative about their own clubs. There are also what I call the TPFs, the toxic positivity fans, who, if you say, look, I think Klopp may have taken us as far as he can, how dare you say that? They'll stand by Klopp if you guys get relegated. Like, they'll just stay there until the end, like, to show no discontent. It's absolutely crazy.